You'll give credit to three teachers of yours, one of which, of course, is Lee Kuan Yew. The other two, Kok Keng Sui and S. Rajaratnam. What are they like? What impressed you about them? What did they teach you?
Well, I would say they're very, very different individuals. I mean, Lee Kuan Yew is a very forceful politician, a forceful person. So if Mr. Lee Kuan Yew was standing up there speaking to all of you, you would all be sitting at the edge of your seat listening to him because he's an amazing speaker. Now, if Dr. Goh Keng Swee then came up to the podium after Lee Kuan Yew and started speaking, you would all fall asleep. Literally. I'm not exaggerating, because what he does is that he has a text, he looks at his text, and then he reads. And he's an economist. He never ever looks at the audience. So he's just constantly just reading what he writes is absolutely brilliant. But if you can't connect with the audience, you can't do that. Now, Rajaratnam, by contrast, was also a very colorful person.
Sui was an economist.
He was an economist,
right.
An absolutely brilliant economist.
With a doctorate degree.
As you know, one of Singapore's major success is that it's an economic miracle. And the man who is truly responsible for the economic miracle is Dr. Goh Keng Swee. And he is incredibly hard-headed also, as hard-headed, as tough-minded as Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. And it is very unusual in most governments to have three very strong, powerful individuals who can get along with each other and work with each other. Because normally when you have strong individuals, you also have political competition among these individuals, and then they start fighting each other. But the remarkable thing about Singapore's founding generation is that they were able to work together as a team and complement each other very, very well.
What was Rajaratnam like?
Well, Mr. Rajaratnam was, if Mr. Lee Kuan Yew came into this room and he stood up there and you faced him, and if you confronted him, you would get very frightened of Lee Kuan Yew. I mean, he is a force of nature. But if you met Mr. Rajaratnam, you will never get scared of him. He's the nicest guy in the world, very friendly, constantly smiling, not in the least bit intimidating. Yet, if it comes to a political fight, Rajaratnam was a fierce fighter. I'll never forget once when I was in Cuba, Havana, attending a non-aligned conference in 1979. At that time, Singapore was fighting the Soviet Union, And as you know, Castro was allied with the Soviet Union. So we had a fight with Castro over the Vietnamese invasion of Cambodia. And because many of the delegates there were pro-Soviet, Castro invited us to attend a small meeting where he invited very powerful third world leaders like Saddam Hussein, Hafiz Assad, Yasser Arafat, all of them, and to intimidate Mr. Rajaratnam. And I felt intimidated when I was in the room because all these powerful leaders were there. Mr. Rajaratnam was just a foreign minister. These were all heads of government. He wasn't in the least bit intimidated by any of them, and he fought like a lion. And Mr. Rajaratnam, if you had a struggle, if you wanted a lion to fight with you, Mr. Rajaratnam was a lion.
What made the three of them work together? How come they didn't fight?
Well,
or they fight, but it did not prevent them from working together for the good of the country?
Well, I think it was a common experience of suffering together. Suffering the Japanese occupation, fighting the British for decolonization, fighting against the Malaysian politicians when we were in Malaysia from 63 to 65. And remember, there were times when the three of them could have lost their lives. In the Japanese occupation, they could have easily lost their lives. And I think at some point in time, when the tensions between Malaysia and Singapore became quite serious, there was a possibility that they could have been taken to jail and imprisoned. So they went through real hard political struggles. And when you fight battles together, you develop a camaraderie and trust. which is amazing. And so these three men trusted each other. No, they had different views, I must say, huh? And they would argue with each other. And they would be very blunt and direct towards each other in the arguments. And I actually was present sometimes when they argued with each other.
Now I know what's wrong